Let's start with our discussion on the topic of quadratic equations. First, we'll look at the definition of a quadratic equation, which is an equation with one variable and in which the highest power of the variable is 2 is known as a quadratic equation. So if I had to give you an example, maybe something of the format where something like say 5x plus 4x square is equal to 6, right? So as you can see in this particular equation, we've got only one variable x, and the highest power of that variable over here is 2. So this basically is a quadratic equation. Another example could be something like about 3x square plus 4x plus 7 equal to 0. So as you can see, the equation again has one variable and the highest power of that is 2. So another example of a quadratic equation, right? Let's look at what is the standard form of a quadratic equation, right? And the standard form of a quadratic equation is defined as ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. So the way we usually represent a standard quadratic equation is by first writing down the x squared term, then the x term, the power raised to 1 term, and then the constant term all on one side of the equation and equal to 0, right? So a, b and c are all real numbers and a is not equal to 0. So this second equation is already in the standard form, as you can see. The first equation here, let's rearrange that in the standard form. So if I do that, 5x plus 4x square is equal to 6. So first I'll write the x square term, which is 4x square, then the x terms of plus 5x, and then I'll take the 6 on the other side, which makes it minus 6 equal to 0. So this here is the first equation represented in the standard form, right? And if I was to compare it with ax squared plus bx plus c, as you guys can see, the coefficient of x squared, that's 4, this becomes a, because the coefficient of x over here, which is 5, is b. The value of c is not 6 though, it is minus 6, right? So pay attention always whenever you're figuring out what the values of a, b and c are. So please pay close attention to the signs just before it. If it's plus, it doesn't matter, but if it's minus, right? So if I had to talk about c, I would say minus 6 is equal to c, right? It'll be more clear when we are dealing with the sums, right? So now, what do we do with these equations actually? Why do we even have these equations? The idea would be, given any such equation, I can solve this equation and find the value of x which satisfies the equation. And the value of x such that it satisfies the equation is called as the root 0 or the solution of the equation, right? Mostly we'll be using the words root or solution. And what that means is, suppose let's take our example again, 4x square plus 5x minus 6 equal to 0. And if I am to take the value of x as minus 2, right? If I am to take the value of x as minus 2 and substitute it in here, try it out for yourself. If you see this equation here at x is equal to minus 2 will simplify to 0, right? So you can try it out for yourself. So that means that minus 2 here is a root or a solution, right? Is a root or a solution to this equation, and that is what we'll need to be doing in our sums. We'll be given an equation and we'll have to find its roots, or we'll need to find its roots or the solution rather for the equation. Now understand, it's a quadratic formula, it's a quadratic equation, highest power being 2, so there will be 2 roots for this equation. The roots of this equation are x is equal to minus 2, or even x is equal to 3 upon 4. Now, how did I get these values? How do I get these values, right? So there are 2 ways to solve, there are actually more, but we'll be discussing 2 major ways of solving these quadratic equation. The first way is called as the factorization method, right? And the second is by using the quadratic formula, right, formula. So we'll be looking at these 2 ways of solving any given quadratic equation in the sums to come, right?